blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Welcome back to Moments with Myra. In a previous episode, we talked about recovery from the perspective of the individual, the strength, the struggle, and the journey towards healing. Today, we are continuing that conversation by centering a voice that is often unheard, and that's the family. Addiction doesn't just affect one person, it touches everyone that's connected to them. Today's episode is about love, boundaries, resilience, and what it truly means to support someone while also taking care of yourself. I'm honored to be joined by Melissa Smith, who is bravely sharing her family's experience of loving someone through addiction and recovery. This conversation is honest, compassionate, and necessary.
Yes.
Melissa, thank you so much
Yes.
for joining me. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate I appreciate being given the opportunity to not only share a portion of my story, but to honestly be that voice for the silent sufferers out there that think that, hey, this is only happening in my household, in my family, in my circle, in my community.
Yes, yes. And like we had spoke about before, hopefully that this will be a moment for us to get away from the thought process of whatever happens in this house stays in this house.
Yes. That
So
the new kids on the block won't be the only ones breaking down doors and destroying secrets. Yes,
absolutely, absolutely. So
yes.
we've already talked about recovery from the individual side. Today
Mhm.
we're centering around the family. What does it mean to you to have space for the family story?
Um, it means a lot, Myra. It really does because, like I said, um, prior to us having this conversation about sharing, there were a lot of things that I held to myself because I didn't feel like anybody wanted to hear about it. No one cares. We all have problems, whether it's dealing with someone with addiction or, someone without a job or this, that, and the other. No one cares. But then in talking to you and hearing, the story that's already been told from the recovery side, people do care. And people do, other families need to also hear that, you know, you're relevant too in this process. And so hopefully that will be one of the takeaways that they understand that, just as their loved one is loved, so are they, and that they're relevant in the process as well.
Yes, and I think that's so important because I think sometimes when it's our loved one that's dealing with an addiction issue, we look at ourselves as like, what do we miss? What could I've done
Mhm.
differently? How did I not know? All these questions that we ask, but we have to think about how that individual becomes very, very good with hiding, with ducking and dodging,
Mhm.
being able to play in our face, so to speak,
Mhm.
act like business as usual. So I wanted us to have this conversation so that other families that may be going through this right now won't be so hard on themselves. Because I
Yes.
think in a situation like this, dealing with addiction, everybody needs grace, you know,
Yes.
everybody needs grace. Now, from your own experience, why is it important that recovery conversations include family voices too?
Because you hit the nail on the head. Everybody needs grace. And speaking from my own experience, I haven't always responded to the family member the way I should.
Yeah.
Not Miss Saved, Sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost fire, baptized. Okay. And a breakout speaking in tongues when necessary. I have not always responded with love, compassion, any of that. Like, and that's my truth. And so it is very important for people to give themselves grace while they're giving their loved ones grace. If you flip because of something, whatever that something may be, you need grace. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I have a right to feel this way. You don't have a right to stay feeling that way, but you definitely have a right to feel this way, because being supportive is not for the weary at heart.
Yeah.
And I know in my situation, or one of my situations, it wasn't that I didn't know. It was more that that's not how we grew up. This is not how you should be living. But then there were some good sides to it too. You know, there were some perks to the pre-recovery personality
Yeah.
that I was exposed to. And we'll, I guess, get to that a little bit later. But families need to understand, while you giving grace, keep some for yourself.
Absolutely. Because it's definitely a mixed bag of tricks.
Oh, yes. And you end up being the one get tricked half the time.
And I have no idea. Now, before recovery entered the picture, what was life like for your family emotionally and mentally?
I can honestly say that it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. We grew up in a household where alcohol was the norm. Anything beyond alcohol, you didn't see the activity. You may have been more privy to the behavior afterwards. Being young, you didn't understand, why they went from happy to happier.
Mhm.
You just knew that, hey, if you had a bad day in school, that happy just helped you out.
Yeah.
So that was, of course, the good part. But it's when you begin to grow up and life changes, people change, you go your different ways or whatever, which is the case with one of my loved ones. We were in different houses. So it wasn't that in-house experience for us.
Gotcha.
It was you get a phone call and your loved one has done something, and the people on the other end have decided you either gonna get them or you gonna wish you had a gotten them.
Mhm.
And so that is when you realize that the family members that were just happy go lucky in their activity has changed over to they not acting the same.
Mhm.
And that can be shocking, different, like what?
Lines start to blur a little.
Yeah, I don't remember anybody calling saying you better come and get so and so because he over here tripping, or somebody having to be, carried out of a house.
Yeah.
That wasn't our norm,
Mhm.
but it became a norm in a different situation.
So, what were some of the silent struggles your family carried that some outsiders may not have noticed?
We had communication issues. I believe hindsight is a different sight when you begin to evaluate your past. And reflect on it deeper than you're often taught, and you realize that alcoholism and the other things that made people happy, that was the communication.
Mhm.
um Growing up, we didn't really want for anything. So we weren't the family where you felt like or you could think that, hey, you know they're going through XYZ, the mama not working, the daddy not working, this, that, and other. My parents had jobs. Um, it did end up being a single family home. There was a decent dose of love, based on their ability to love. But then you realize that communication is the greatest component of love. And that was a majorly missing piece.
Yes. And I
Mm.
noticed too, especially when we talk about things from the past. And just audience, for transparency, we are family. So when I say things, we are talking
Yeah.
about some of the things that's happened with our family. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah.
But we're talking about compared to now, because working with the demographic of people that I work with, it's a lot of single parent homes,
Mhm.
unemployment, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
like back when we were growing up, you're right. We never ever knew that there was an issue. And I remember one time hearing my mom and dad talk about my grandfather. And I used to see him go to work. He was a mechanic, never missed a beat. But they said he was functioning. He was a functioning alcoholic. And
Gotcha.
so I wonder what is the difference or the mindset from that older generation to our generation now, because there's a lot more disparity. There's a lot more um, issues in the home, like you said, single parents, no jobs, homelessness, just so much more. And I was just trying to see what was the disconnect and how did our parents, grandparents, aunties, or whatever handle it in such a different way, almost like in a stronger way than we do now. Now, I know with addiction and family, we talk about with kids in the household and how,
Mhm.
the oldest one is usually takes on this role as the protector and this, that, and the other. How did addiction affect the family roles? Who became the fixer? Who was the protector? And who was the peacemaker?
You talking to the people in the back, or you talking to me? Because if you talking to the people in the back, they probably pointing at me. But if you talking to me, I'm probably pointing at me too.
Mhm.
It's it's ironic that you would ask that question because for years I knew I was the middle child. Um, but I was also the only female in the home, aside, of course, from my mother. So, um, as addictions became addictions, as opposed to just being happy-go-lucky, I became that caregiver. I became that fixer. I became that problem solver. I became that. If I do this, then this should happen. If I do that, then that would happen. And I'm probably jumping the gun, but when you grow to realize that there is nothing you can do when it comes to somebody else's life, but let them live it, because one thing's for certain and two things for sure, taking my granddaughter's mom's words, we all know how we want to feel, we know how we feel,
Yeah.
and we know what we will do to feel the way we want to feel. And
Mhm.
a lot of times we make that disconnect. We look, the non addictive people look at the addicts as if they're so different, and
Mhm.
they're not. You know how you want to feel, so you go to work to do the things that you need to do to get what you want. That's what your grandfather did. He knew, hey, if I go to work, that
Mhm.
this feeling that I'm after, I'll be able to afford it. In this age, still know what they want, know what they how they want to feel, but they have no intentions. Many of them, not everybody, have no intentions of doing what it takes to get what they want so that they can feel the way they want to feel, which adds even more chaos to the family dynamics, more trauma, more everything that's just not so positive. You try to create it fixer to be positive. You try to soothe the soul
Mhm.
provider, but you just continuously do the same thing they're doing. Stay in this cycle until somebody decides to get out. And what's ironic is they end up deciding to get out before you do.
Because you're in such, it becomes a habit for you. It becomes
You
a part
become
of your
addicted. It becomes your addiction. Their
life.
addiction leads you to a different type of addiction. They know their addiction,
Yep. Hmm.
but you're blindsided by yours. Again, you know how you feel, frustrated, excuse my language, pissed off, whatever the day may bring.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you want to feel. And you have convinced yourself that if I just do this, or if I do that, if I work a little harder over there, that this will change. When the whole while they live in life knowing that, baby, there's nothing you can do to fix me. Because
Yep.
I ain't even broken the way you think I'm broken. I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
A family member had this saying, until you get tired of being sick and tired. They end up getting sick and tired of themselves way before we realize we need to be sick and tired of ourselves.
And get
You
off of that.
know,
Yeah.
it's, I cannot say it enough. It's not for the weary at heart, because that's when you transition from not only dealing with them to having to deal with yourself. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying my best not to get teary eyed in that this part of the segment, but the reality is you become so consumed with their lives
Mm-hmm.
and what you want for them, which includes what you want for yourself. I want this pain to stop. I'm hurting because what you're doing is hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
I've done everything that I know that I can do. And one of the stories, I know this is a little off, but I got to tell this story. Early in the, maybe not early, but within the addiction, a situation arose. And like I said, I got a phone call and I was told, you better come and get so and so, because if you don't, you gonna wish you had her. I didn't have a card, but I made it happen because that's what fixers do,
That's
right? So I went. Okay, I had to have been in like my 20s, literally. So it's like, okay, who really do you think you are? But I
yeah.
went, and the young men, they were true to their words. They were sitting out there waiting for him to come out the door. So we got him out the door, got him in the car, had a gash in his lip. I don't know if you can see my finger, that big.
Mm.
Arm broke, visibly broke. Again, I'm not driving, but the person that cared about me, it was a female friend, was kind enough to take us to Baptist. That was the closest place. He had the audacity to tell me he wasn't going in there. Look here, Myra. I don't even know if I was cussing. I was a Christian at the time, but I don't know if I cussed. I probably didn't. But I'm a cuss today. I'll be damned if you ain't. Oh, you gonna get out this car. Put him out. What you do is on you. That was by far the hardest decision I had to make. Because remember, I had just picked him up from a place where they already said, if you don't, you gonna wish you had.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you bucking up at me and telling me what you ain't gonna do and what I'm taking you to do is the right thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
what is going through my head about what you gonna do? But I had to stand on business, as the young folks say. Because again, I'm not driving.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped him off. The next time I saw my brother, he was in a cast because his arm was really broken and he had stitches in his lip.
So during this time period, and we talk a lot about being the fixer.
Mm.
What were your emotions? Did you have resentment? Was it like resentment, hope, and grief? How did you feel? Was it just like a roller coaster? What was your feelings during the time when you was going through that process?
To know me is to know I'm a nurturer to a fault. Um, he was my everything. God, he was my everything. Um, Single parent, two boys. Um, Not in a relationship. I lived for the days for him to come by and get the boys, do something. And he would. in whatever state he was in. Holidays, you could best believe he was gonna be there. They coined the term or phrase, "Who you with?" And my sons would holler, "Uncle so and so." It was just life.
Mhm.
Um, but on the flip side of life was fear. What's gonna happen to my brother, God? My mother had already passed.
Mhm.
What's gonna happen to my brother? How is he gonna make it through this season of his life? Um, Again, I was in the church, and I'll never forget seeing a vision of him being in a casket. It wasn't nothing but God. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. I prayed until I believed in my soul that he was no longer in that casket. And by the grace of God, a turnaround came. That's when I went from him being my everything, joy, to no longer having to be afraid about what's going to happen to you. Because this was after, I done had to come get you. You already got a busted lip and a broke arm. Um, to I can't believe what's happening now.
So,
I,
how did you start during that time and when you were getting beyond this point? You prayed and you gave it to God and you left it there because you knew it was already done. How did you start to rebuild your trust? How did you start to be open again?
um, I'm not sure if I really had a choice.
Mhm.
Um, the events happened so quick. I got a call one day saying, "Hey, this is where I am. You're not gonna be able to talk to me for a while, but I'm okay." Um, that was rough. That was rough because again, in my mind, in my heart, he was my everything. He was what I knew. He was what I had left besides my children. Um, that's a hard one to answer. It really is. It's just I don't know if we even have the trust now that I probably wish we had. Um,
I
I
was going to say too, I didn't mean to cut you off, Melissa, but I was going to say too, it seems like it would be something that you would have to kind of grow through. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But like you were touching on before, healing is not linear. Recovery is not linear. So
right.
think, oh, this person's going to go get help. And, we have this picture in our mind. This is how things are going to be. And we don't realize when they go get help, it's not the way, it doesn't look like the way we thought help was going to look. And sometimes for self-preservation, even though we weren't a part of any of the party scene or anything, they have to kind of cut themselves off or shut themselves off in
Yeah,
order to be okay. And
yeah.
so I think when that happens, the trust is there, but the trust is not there. You know what I mean?
It went right back to the lack of communication that you grew
Yeah.
up with
Yeah.
because I didn't know that you had to go into a different set of survival mode
Mhm.
that included, I don't want to say deleting me because he never deleted me.
Mhm.
Before recovery, he was easily accessible. He was my everything. After recovery, he became need based
Mhm.
without communicating why this has to be this way. As a family member, you internalize so many toxic thoughts
Yeah.
and you hold on to them to this day because you don't understand what could you have possibly done wrong. God answered your prayer. Why doesn't the answer look like it was supposed to look? Why did I gain a sober family member but
Mhm.
lose my everything. I'll never forget one time I was in school, the boys were growing up. He was in full recovery mode, had a relationship with a young lady. And because I didn't understand, and at that time I needed a break. I don't think I did. Well, I said I needed a break. I just needed the version of him that I was used to back. But I
Mhm.
couldn't communicate that because I didn't know how. All I knew was you left me. You're still here, but you left me. The version of you that used to be here is no longer here and is hurting. Looking back, I think to me it was really killing me. And I remember crying, saying, "Hey, I eat, sleep, and drink with my sons. You used to do this, but you no longer do it." And I can remember the look on his face just looking at me like it wasn't a mean look, but it was one of those like, "What's wrong with you?" Like them your kids, not understanding, like, dude, before you went into recovery, we saw you a lot. Now we seldom see you or hear from you. We know you exist. We know you're okay. We know if we need you, you'll be there. But you're different and it hurts. It hurts.
I can understand where you're coming from, especially being a girl and looking
Yes.
up to our brothers, because they are everything.
Yes.
And recently there was a death in the family, and I was sitting and talking with my brothers, and even though I'm 55 years old, I'm still the baby. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And
That part.
so we was just talking about different things, and we was talking about my dad's funeral and just different nuances of that day. And he said, I was high that day. And I was like, what? And then it's kind of like what we were talking about before, where you go back in your mind and you was like, how did I not know? Like, this
Yeah.
man was my everything. When I tell you,
Yeah.
it was my dad and my brother. And so when we was having that conversation, things kind of made sense a little bit, but
Right.
you are just almost in denial. But I tell you, I told him, I said, I'm so glad that finally you laid everything out for me, because I really do feel like it's made our relationship even better, and I feel like that the communication and stuff is getting better, because you go off, you're living your own life, you're doing your own thing. There's quite a few years between us. So,
Right.
it was that as well. But you still my everything. And so I
Right.
see that story for other family members that might be dealing with family members who are in addiction. Sometimes you just don't know. And guess what? It's okay.
It
It's
is.
okay.
It is. It really is. I think in the do-over, even the do-over that I'm in now, the attachment, I recognize that the loved one has changed.
Mhm.
But I also have grown to realize and remember I can't fix you. I cannot fix you. I can't make you change. I can seek to understand you as one, even with a psychology degree.
Mhm.
Where, honey, I get happy about figuring out what somebody got going on. Okay, you're not my figure it out.
And it's so different when it hits that close to home.
Hmm.
It's like everything that goes out the window, because it's just too close to home.
Yep.
And I think what we have to do while we're giving ourselves grace and giving them grace, we have to get to know who they are now. Honey,
Oh,
my brother used to be an exotic dancer. I told him that day when we was talking, I said, do you know how it felt for a girl to be coming up and saying, your brother, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was dancing and blah, 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 and dancing and blah, blah, blah. I was like, how do you think that made me feel? We laughed about it. And now he's a pastor and has his own church in Charlotte. And
okay.
I said, I love this so much because the youth today needs somebody that's got some real life experience, not somebody
Right.
that's standing up there acting like everything's always been this way. He can tell you about
Yeah.
when I was in jail. He can tell you about when I was an exotic dancer. He can tell you about when I was on drugs, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But still, me as the baby sister, honey, I'm still processing. So
Right.
I think in the grace mode, we have to make time to truly, truly make the effort to try to get to know our loved one again because
Right.
we're all getting older. We got
True.
more days behind us than we do ahead of us. So I
Mhm.
don't think that it's anything impossible. Now, along those lines, when we're looking back over the whole journey,
Mhm.
how has this shaped your understanding of love? Because the love, it changes, it might
Yeah.
go up, it might go down, but how does your understanding of love, what is that now?
Um, Love to me now is like it's like food. You can have the exact same meal and it tastes different
It's different.
every day.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that that Whopper is not still a Whopper. It just tastes different today. Um, that person that you love, they may be different, but they're still the same person that you know you love. Communication, it is a challenge, especially in the African American community.
Yeah.
We do find it easy to communicate when we are under some type of influence.
Yes.
And that's just the reality, whether it's alcohol, for me, food. Oh, girl, we'll laugh till the cows come. As a matter of fact, I ate some crackers before I got on here. Okay, so we can have this real smooth conversation. Um, but all jokes aside, um, love, I think we have to get to the place, or I've gotten to the place that I had to take it out the box. I had to realize that just because he's not easily accessible, just because we're not having the conversations that I would love to have or believe that we would have once he, went through recovery, and that we had actually before, because he would tell me about his little flotsies or whatever. God help us all, as the old people would call them. To when he got married, hey, this my business, not yours. He don't share nothing. Um, you miss those things, but you realize that even though the language changed, the love doesn't have to. You're still my loved one. You're still my loved one. You are still the one that I love. I just have to understand that because of who you have groomed yourself to become, that I have to love you differently. And that differently doesn't even have to be bad. I don't have to be filled with resentment, because resentful love is toxic. But
Yeah.
understanding love, understanding that you're not distancing yourself from me because I was your downfall, or because I was this, or because something's wrong with me. You just have found the life that's suitable to maintain your recovery.
And something that just dropped in my spirit when you said that is also too looking at it from the other person's point of view. They could be
Mhm.
embarrassed because of all the things that transpired or that you saw or whatever
Right.
the case may be.
That's
But
true.
I
Oh,
think
that's true.
I think that you hit the nail on the head though when you said take love out of the box.
Yeah.
Because love stretch high, low, circle, square, you just don't know. But love is love, and one thing that can never be taken away from any of us is family's family. And
That's
one thing that I can say about our family, we don't see each other every day, we don't see each other every year
that
sometimes.
part.
But if the bat signal is put up in the sky,
Yes, sir.
Best believe we'll be right there.
Yep.
So now,
That
what
is
would
so
you
true.
tell families who feel forgotten once the recovery begins? And that's kind of, in a way, that's kind of how you felt when recovery was happening, even though you were excited, you were glad, but you felt forgotten. So, knowing what you know now and being able to see things from a different perspective, what advice would you give to another family member other than for them just to have a little grace, because it's growing room?
Well, as you said, in honesty, truth, and transparency, um, I'm not over feeling forgotten. I'm not gonna sit here and say I do. Um, I do feel forgotten a lot of times. Um, because I'll reach out way more than they reach out to me. And for whatever reason, our love language is, the friction, the disconnect, the whatever the case may be. Um, it oftentimes puts us in a situation where we need to forget each other for a season or for a moment. So I would tell that person that's has all these expectations to put them to the side
Mhm.
and go with the flow. I didn't know to put those things to the side.
Yeah.
So going with the flow has been very challenging. But now that you've heard this broadcast and you know that you can be the same overcomer that your loved one is. You just have to realize you have to overcome differently because their addiction is their addiction. But addiction that you may not have even known that you had was an addiction, which is an addiction to them. And their sobriety or their deliverance or their transformation has caused you to develop some patterns, which is what addiction is, that are toxic and harmful to yourself. So just really taking the time while they're taking the time to focus on you to get you back to where you um would have been, could have been, should have been, want to be. Because again, we all know how we want to feel and we know what we're willing to do to feel that way. So getting to that place that you know how you want to feel and getting to the place that you're willing to do what you need to do to feel that way within the realm of your abilities,
Mhm.
not predicated on what they do or
Mhm.
what they don't do, but predicated on what you're willing to do for you, which is where I am now. Um, I go to therapy. I do, not just for that, but just for, just the different life changes, the different, misconceptions about life,
Yeah.
whether it be life with a loved one, this, going through addiction, one this, overcoming addiction, realizing that I need to understand the roots within me that has caused my addictive behaviors.
Yes.
So it really boils down to, loving yourself to the extent that you found yourself loving your loved one, because we don't even realize a lot of times when we do what we do for them, we're putting self love and self care on the back burner. And
Mhm.
sometimes it don't even make to the stove. It's stuck in the freezer. It's got to
Oh,
unthaw.
that's right.
But you hot, you done cooked up a full blown pot of love,
Mhm.
for the sake of them and the betterment of themselves, neglecting yourself. And so you see them with one lens, they looking this way, they looking that way, and they need to look another way, not realizing, girl or honey, you look just as bad, if not worse, because
Well,
you don't worn yourself down.
you took the words right out of my mouth, because also something else that dropped into my spirit when you said that is when we're doing that and we're giving that quote unquote agape love to
Hmm.
our loved one and being there and supporting them through whatever, not just addiction, but just life, period.
Right, right.
There can be some resentment.
Hmm.
And I think when we realize I could have been in Charlotte. I could have been doing this. I could have been doing that, but I'm over here worried about this, and they living their best life. It causes resentment, and I think that that's what makes communication harder too, because I too, honey, believe in therapy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the thing that I have learned, like you said about life, is that resentment and stuff, sometimes the stuff that we've made up in our own head. And I mean,
That's
if
true.
we toe up, just like
Yes.
up, and somebody come to you and say, well, why haven't you talked to Melissa? Well, back. And then when I stop and think about it, well, why haven't I talked to Melissa? You know what I mean? Like, it just don't seem that serious. And
Right.
so my prayer is for anyone that's dealing with a family member that's going through whatever they're going through. Again, and I feel like we can't use this word enough, grace.
Yes.
We are extending grace to ourselves and to others. Make sure that we take self out of the equation.
Yes.
Self will have us believing that the world and that the sky is purple, and we want everybody else to believe it's purple, but the sky is
Right.
purple. And so that's going to cause us to have resentment, which is going to cause more of a disconnect for that
Yes.
communication.
Yeah. And that now you definitely said a mouthful. And we've agreed on everything, and I definitely agree with that. We just want to throw out that disclaimer too, though. In the process of taking self out, make sure you put yourself somewhere that's
Yes.
productive, that's effective, that, causes you to
Some
continue to, yes, to be
that
on the road to becoming or being. Because everybody is not needing to become.
that's right.
Some people are in the stage of just being. And
Mhm.
you realize that, hey, I need to make sure I'm doing XYZ so that I can continue to be, so that I don't fall prey to certain patterns of behavior and find myself becoming. Because we all know being looks way different than having to become.
Woo.
It's like being in a race and you in first place. You
Yeah.
gonna get to the finish line, but if you start slacking up and looking at the other runners,
Mhm.
you gonna find yourself in the back, and it's gonna be a whole lot harder to get to the front. So,
That's right.
like you said, Myra, yes, take you out of the situation, because the addiction is not about you. Even if, and they do say that, well, because you da 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 da, you make me drink, or you make me smoke, or you make me eat, or you make me go out here and cheat. No, 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 no.
Mhm.
We all have choices,
That's
and we
right.
all do things for three reasons. We know how we feel, we know how we want to feel, and
Yep.
we know what we're willing to do to feel the way we want to feel, so we can get rid of how we feel.
That's right. And that free will, let's not forget about that free will
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
So as we're starting to wrap up, what does hope look like for your family today?
Um, I hope that the ones that are, you know, getting closer and closer to understanding why recovery would be a good decision, um, take that next step, that it will look a little different than my first experience. I hope that I don't lose everything to gain something. But at the same time, I hope that if I have to, that I remember it was worth losing the bad thing, the
Yes.
good thing, to get something even better. Because in losing my everything and my brother, I gained everything and seeing him be his best self, because I'm still his biggest fan.
That's right.
I am still his biggest fan. When I see him on Facebook, I get excited. When we do talk and something good has happened, I get excited. When I need him, as they say, trouble in my way,
Mhm.
I have to call him sometimes. I get excited because I know he'll be there. So now I'm starting to get excited about the idea that, like you said, love just looks different. And
Mhm.
so hope will too, because hope and love are tied together. They are so
Absolutely.
tied together.
Now, if you could give listeners just one reminder, what would it be? Anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be about addiction, but just a word of encouragement. What would it be?
I love you. You must love you too. Find out what loving you means and execute the plan to keep doing so. It doesn't mean that you're going to stop loving those around you. It just means you're going to love thy neighbor as yourself, which means you can't really truly love them the way they need to be loved until you truly understand how to love you first.
Ooh, now I didn't know you was gonna take me to church, but that right there is the
But
truth.
that's real.
Yeah,
That's
it's real.
real.
And also to add to that, the word
Hmm.
that we've been using this whole time is grace.
Yes.
Extend some to
Yes.
yourself, extend some to your loved ones, extend some to your neighbor. You know, let's
Everybody.
let's start getting back to the Cherry Street and Bacon Street days.
Okay.
Audience won't understand that reference, but
But no,
growing
that is so true. Because
up,
honestly, you can't say you love you if you always beating up on you.
that's
And
right.
grace eliminates the need to
That's
be
right.
mean to self and others.
And it gives you a better understanding.
Mm,
Absolutely. Well,
good.
Melissa, thank you so much for your transparency and being vulnerable today. Your story is a powerful reminder that families deserve healing too.
They
That's
do.
so important. Not just understanding, but grace, support, and space to tell their truth. To
Mhm.
anyone listening who is supporting a loved one through addiction or recovery, I want you to know this: your feelings matter,
They
your
do.
boundaries matter, and you're not alone. Healing is not selfish, it's necessary. If
Yes.
today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to reach out for support, whether that's through a trusted community counseling center or family focused recovery
Yes.
resources. You deserve care too. Melissa, thank you so much.
Love you.
I love
Thank
you.
you.
You guys have a good evening.
Yeah, Sean, man. Hey, look. I just take it one day at a time. Can't be focused on the shine. Gotta focus my mind on staying humble through my grind. Investing my time, getting closer to God in His word till I'm flying over anything that tried to separate me from God. Man, I'm getting through that. Thought you knew that. Anyone trying to crucify me, thank you, Judas. You only push me to my destiny. I'm never losing. Cruising all through the city on a sunny day. Hat low, black shades block the sun rays. Me and my ladies gon' have a good day. That's my wifey and baby girls, the angels in my face. That's why I thank God every day that I'm waking up. All these blessings I've been receiving, cannot make that up. Hard times they may come, but I'm never giving up. My power come from within, I'm connected. Yeah, life be going fast like the interstate. Like the interstate. Hey, with my dreams, I'm in a head-on collision. I won't swerve, I'ma keep it straight. Yeah, I'ma keep it straight. 100 if they do or don't listen, cause God elevate my faith above any situation that I face, because life can be a struggle any given day. Just gotta believe there's a better day coming. Whatever you working toward, keep working for it. A dream's only a dream when there's no work involved. And put your heart and mind inside the hands of God, cause He will never let you fail when His plans evolve. Gotta remind myself daily that I got greatness on the inside of me. It's forthcoming like a prophecy, and knowing that God is a bridge over where troubled waters be raging, but He helped me get over without aborting these dreams that I got, visions that I see. Me and my brothers in EMG like a symphony, moving together on stage and we finna be on top of the world, giving glory up to G.O.D. I miss my brother, but yet holding on to family. I could do better as a brother and an uncle, but I'm praying that God touch my soul and change me to a better me. Praying for better life be days. Going fast like the interstate, like the interstate. Hey, with my dreams, I'm in the head, don't collision. I won't swerve, I'ma keep it straight. Yeah, I'ma keep it straight. 100 if they do it, don't listen, cuz God elevate my faith above any situation that I face, because life can be a struggle any given day. Hey, just gotta believe there's a better day, because life be going fast like the interstate. Hey, like the interstate. Hey, with my dreams, I'm in the head, don't collision. I won't swerve, I'ma keep it straight. Yeah, I'ma keep it straight. 100 if they do it, don't listen, cuz God elevate my faith above any situation that I face, because life can be a struggle any given day. Hey, just gotta believe there's a better day. Hey, coming, what? Hey, seriously though, man. You just gotta believe, man, it's a better day coming, yo. Stuff ain't always gonna be matched up the way you want it to be. But that's just the struggle of life. It's the reason we got prayer for. We can't get through it on our own. Trust God, man. Love y'all.